small town where everyone knew each other, where neighbors waved as they passed, and Friday night football games brought the whole community together. It was the kind of place where people still left their doors unlocked and crime was considered something that happened elsewhere. But that sense of safety was shattered one autumn night when 24-year-old Emily Carter disappeared without a trace. Emily was last seen leaving her best friend's house after a movie night. She had promised her mom she'd be home before midnight. At 11:42 p.m., she sent one final text message, "Almost home." She never arrived. And what investigators discovered in the days that followed would haunt Ridgewood forever. Background: who was Emily Carter? Emily Carter wasn't the type of person anyone expected to vanish. She grew up in Ridgewood, loved by her community. Friends described her as kind, gentle, and always willing to help. She worked as a teacher's assistant at Ridgewood Elementary and was preparing to finish her degree in education. Her life seemed simple. No enemies, no debts, no signs of trouble. She lived with her mother in a modest home on Maple Avenue and was known to always check in if she was running late. For the people of Ridgewood, Emily's disappearance didn't just feel strange. It felt impossible. Discovery: the car. When Emily failed to come home, her mother grew concerned almost immediately. By morning, panic had set in. Calls to Emily's phone went straight to voicemail. She wasn't at work, and none of her friends had seen her. By noon, police had located Emily's car on a quiet stretch of road just 2 miles from her home. The vehicle was parked neatly on the shoulder. The keys were still in the ignition. The driver's door was cracked open. Inside, her phone sat on the passenger seat, still glowing faintly with that final, "almost home" message. Her handbag was on the floorboard. Nothing appeared stolen. Nothing appeared broken. To investigators, it was as if Emily had simply stepped out for a moment and then vanished into the night. But the woods bordering that road told no story. There were no footprints, no tire tracks, no evidence of a struggle. Nothing. First theories: a random abduction. At first, investigators leaned toward a random act of violence. Perhaps Emily had been unlucky, crossing paths with a stranger who pulled her off the road. Ridgewood was near a highway, and transients sometimes passed through. But as days turned into weeks with no leads, that theory began to crumble. FBI agents assisting the case noted that random abductions often leave behind some evidence. Broken glass, signs of a fight, witnesses who hear something. Here, there was nothing but silence. It was almost too clean. The secrets begin to surface. Then came the first twist. As detectives searched Emily's belongings, they uncovered something no one had expected: a series of anonymous text messages. The texts had begun 3 weeks before her disappearance. They came from untraceable numbers. At first, they were vague: "I see you," or "You shouldn't be asking questions." But as time passed, they grew more threatening. The last one, received just 2 days before Emily vanished, read, "Stop digging or you'll regret it." But what was Emily digging into? The people in Emily's life. Detectives began looking at those closest to Emily. Her ex-boyfriend, Tyler Briggs, a 26-year-old mechanic with a reputation for drinking too much and losing his temper. Their breakup had been messy. Tyler claimed he had nothing to do with her disappearance, but phone records placed him near the road where Emily's car was found, just an hour after she vanished. A troubled neighbor, Gary Hensley. He lived across the street and had been caught peering into windows before. Neighbors described him as odd, always watching. When questioned, Gary denied knowing anything. Still, his history made people uneasy. Her workplace. Co-workers revealed Emily had recently discovered irregularities in school financial records. She had confided that she knew something wasn't right. Could her disappearance have been tied to something darker within the very school she loved? Each theory seemed possible. Each person had a motive, however faint. The town reacts. As days turned to months, Ridgewood changed. Once a place of comfort, it grew cloaked in suspicion. Parents no longer let children walk to school. Porch lights stayed on late into the night. Strangers were eyed with distrust. Emily's face was everywhere, on flyers, billboards, even t-shirts worn by classmates she once taught. Her mother held candlelight vigils in the town square, begging for answers. The community wept, but hope began to fade. The most chilling discovery came from Emily's diary, found hidden in her nightstand weeks after she disappeared. Inside were pages describing a mysterious figure she referred to only as the Watcher. She wrote about seeing the same man near her street, the same car parked outside her work, the same shadow outside her window at night. In one entry, she wrote, "I told myself I was imagining things, but tonight, I know he was there, watching, waiting." Investigators were left wondering, was the Watcher real, or was Emily's fear a product of her imagination? Despite countless interviews, search efforts, and national attention, Emily Carter's case remains unsolved. No body was ever recovered. No one has been charged. Her ex-boyfriend, Tyler, still lives under a cloud of suspicion. The neighbor, Gary, eventually moved away after harassment from townspeople, and whispers about corruption at the school linger. But the truth? It remains locked away, perhaps with the very person who took Emily that night. As the weeks dragged on, frustration grew within the Ridgewood Police Department. The disappearance of Emily Carter had begun like any other missing person case, but it quickly escalated into one of the most baffling mysteries the town had ever faced. Detectives revisited Emily's final hours, combing through phone records, surveillance cameras, and interviews. That's when they noticed something unusual. Just 15 minutes before Emily sent her almost home text, her phone had connected briefly to a cell tower on the opposite side of town. It didn't match her route home. Had she met someone before disappearing, or had she been lured somewhere else entirely? Attention shifted once again to Tyler Briggs, the ex-boyfriend. Phone records placed him driving near that very tower within the same time frame. He claimed it was a coincidence, that he was out clearing his head after an argument with a coworker. But detectives weren't convinced. They pressed him for details, yet he stuck to his story. Without concrete evidence, they couldn't make an arrest. Meanwhile, the FBI created a profile of Emily's suspected abductor. The profiler suggested that if the Watcher was real, he was likely someone who knew her routine, not a random predator. Someone from Ridgewood, perhaps, who blended in with the crowd. The town grew restless. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some whispered that Emily had discovered secrets about the school's finances and was silenced. Others speculated she had staged her own disappearance, though her mother strongly rejected that idea. Still, the most unsettling theory remained, that Emily's stalker had been right there all along, hiding in plain sight. Years have passed since Emily Carter vanished, but Ridgewood has never been the same. The once trusting community still carries the scars of that night. Parents warn their children not to walk alone after dark. Residents double-check their locks. The word safe no longer holds meaning here. Emily's mother, Denise Carter, refuses to give up hope. Every year on the anniversary of her daughter's disappearance, she organizes a vigil near the roadside where Emily's car was found. Dozens gather, holding candles, sharing prayers, and promising that Emily will never be forgotten. Someone knows something, Denise always says, and one day, the truth will come out. But the truth remains buried. Tyler Briggs moved to another state, though suspicion still follows him. Gary Hensley, the strange neighbor, passed away quietly 2 years after the disappearance, never having confessed to anything. And whispers about corruption in the school's financial department slowly faded, leaving behind only unanswered questions. The most haunting part of the case is the diary. The words Emily left behind about the Watcher. Were those notes the paranoid fears of a young woman under stress, or the chilling warnings of someone who knew her end was near? To this day, some Ridgewood residents claim to see a shadowy figure late at night, parked near the woods where Emily disappeared. Whether it's real or just the collective imagination of a town scarred by tragedy, no one can say. What remains certain is this: Emily Carter's story is not just a cold case. It is a reminder of how quickly life can shatter, how darkness can seep into even the brightest lives, and how silence, whether from fear or guilt, can keep justice forever out of reach. For Ridgewood, the question still lingers in the air. Did the Watcher truly exist? Or was the danger closer to home than anyone dared to imagine?